Welcome, new hire, to our new hire orientation and training. ANV Home Care Services welcomes you. These are the topics that we will explore, some of which include the history of the agency, the scope of services rendered, client rights, dress code, work hours, and required paperwork. A&V began its operation in August of 2010. We provide culturally diverse services for individuals of all ages, ranging from the ages of 18 and onward. Our mission is to provide all-round habilitation and rehab services to individuals that have physical and developmental disabilities. We serve the counties of Cook, Kankakee, and Will. The agency departments include Division on Developmental Disabilities, DDD, Department on Rehab Services, DOORS, and Department on Aging. And we have our management team as listed. Our business hours are from Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and our office hours are the same. Fax is 708-535-8221. And what services do we provide? As indicated, we have service contracts under IDOA, DDD, and DOORS. Primarily, the Homemaker Services provides care, support, and services directly to clients for those that have physical disabilities. We supervise the personal care plan, and much of which includes bathing, toileting, shaving, eating, dressing, transferring, laundry. You supervise their nutrition, meals, and medication reminders. Oftentimes, the caregiver in this department completes household chores such as dusting, vacuuming, bed changing, mopping, cleaning the bathrooms, trash removal, and such. Again, give medication reminders, not actually dispensing medicine to the individual. And essentially, the caregiver is assisting the client with different tasks around the home. Sometimes they may accompany clients to medical appointments. We do not transport clients in our personal vehicles due to liability issues, but we can transport them by accompanying them in a PACE or another community transportation service. And you can ask your supervisor for more details in regards to that, or the care manager for the client. Home management such as meal planning, shopping, budgeting, and assisting with paying bills. And we also assist the client with socialization and ensuring that they are keeping up with things such as reading, puzzles, to be able to keep their mind sharp and memory retention. On the other hand, the Department on Developmental Disabilities, DDD, completes tasks and assists the client to work on their goals. In this department, clients have a developmental disability, um, and so they are given hand over hand or reminders to be able to complete the goals that are set at the initial appointment when their goals were set. It can include things such as reminding a client twice a week to work on bed changing. So while they assist the client to complete some tasks in the home, they are teaching the client to work on progressing on whatever goals have been set at the onset of the services. Versus the homemaker department, clients actually complete things such as bed changing, laundry, versus DD, where they are goals that we are working to teach the client to complete and master. Policies and procedures, client rights, privacy, and complaints. When you notice a change in your client condition, it is important that you communicate this with your direct supervisor. Oftentimes, the plan of care indicates most of what the client needs assistance with and support, but at other times, you as the direct staff person is the one that can observe and sees if there are any changes, positive or negative, with your client. And it is important to communicate this in the client change plan with your supervisor so that the supervisor can then liaise with the case coordinator to communicate this change, whether good or bad. because oftentimes it may require a reassessment where the case coordinator through the insurance company or IDOA or DOORS can make an appointment with the client to complete a reassessment to see if there needs to be any changes in the client's plan of care. At the start of your work with AMV Home Care Services, we will request a general physical, and oftentimes you are able to complete a TB or HEP testing just to ensure that we receive that medical record on file for you as an employee. Performance reviews are completed once yearly, so annually it is a written evaluation of your performance as a caregiver that works directly with clients. And essentially, the goal is to have your supervisor review different categories of your job. So, whether that be how you are working with the client, client complaints, timeliness, and your communication with the office and trainings that you are in compliance with. So you will receive direct feedback from your supervisor in regards to these different areas of your job. And then secondly, there are quarterly meetings or check-ins that your supervisor will hold with you as a caregiver where they can check in to see how things are going, communicate any important matters to you throughout the year before the annual evaluation. Again, this is a written evaluation where you will be meeting with your supervisor directly, face to face, or via Teams, but it has to be in real time. The agency apps, the two main agency apps that we in AMV Home Care Services require caregivers to have are HHA Exchange, which is for all caregivers, field caregivers that work directly with clients, where it is a EVV tracker. So EVV is electronic visit verification, where it's going to track your work schedule and also your work hours that you're fulfilling with the client. The second app is the ADP Run app, which is a third party vendor that the agency uses for all things payroll related. So this is where the hours that is received and documented from your HHA app is transferred over to ADP to process your payroll hours. And payroll is completed it's every 2 weeks. So 26 times a year is how the frequency that payroll is run. And it's used through this third party vendor called ADP. It is a self service portal where caregivers are required to, upon hire, to register and complete those credentials in there. If any documents or information needs to be updated, such as your basic allowances, any exemptions that you want to claim, you are responsible to update this self-service portal. Moving right along, the HHA Exchange Plus app is again the electronic visit verification system. This is an app that is required for all caregivers that work with clients. Your schedule is tracked in here monthly and the work hours that you fulfill with your clients. It is in accordance with the Federal 21st Century Cures Act. And as of March 2nd, 2026, AMV transitioned from the SanData Mobile Connect app to utilizing the HHA Exchange Plus application, which was selected by the state of Illinois as its primary EVV vendor of choice. And in alliance with this, the quarterly compliance threshold as of April 1st, 2026 is going to be tracked through the state of Illinois. So providers such as we are minimally are to meet the state compliance threshold of 75% for each state fiscal year and quarter. Again, starting April 1st, 2026. It is AMV's goal to exceed the 75% compliance rating, quarterly rating that is set forth by the state of Illinois. And what does this look like for you as a caregiver? So the electronic visit verification system, it tracks to ensure that visits meet the following requirements: the type of service that is performed, the individual receiving the service, the date of the service, the location of the service, and that the individual that is receiving the service is completed these meeting these requirements on in real time when you are clocking in and clocking out for your clients. For a visit to be compliant, it must meet these six requirements. If any manual entry has to be completed for you as the caregiver, whether that be fixing your clock in time, fixing your clock out time, if you are clocking out or in outside of the 500 feet geofence radius, these are examples of why an exception will occur. Exceptions go against the compliance rating for the agency. So it's very important that you, as a caregiver, each day that you're scheduled with your client, is fulfilling this six categories that is required for compliant EBV clock in and clock out. Failure to meet these guidelines will again result in a non-compliant visit, and it runs the risk of you not being paid as the caregiver for that specific day if you do not follow up with the management office when you see that you receive an alarm or a message on the EBV app that you have a non-compliant visit that needs approval from the office. And so it is important that you, as the caregiver, when you see any error with a failed visit within 24 hours of the visit, you are required to have your client reach out to the office if, in fact, this was a missed um, oversight on your end for a clock in or clock out. Within 24 hours, you have to have your client reach out to the office to communicate to verify this information in order for you to receive full credit for that particular visit. There is also instances where there might be a loss of connection, Wi-Fi cellular connection, in which you are able to use the non out of office, I'm sorry, you have to use the out of offline syncing option. So this looks like you will have a 6-digit ID, caregiver ID, that you will have to use in cases where there are Wi-Fi or connection, cellular data connection issues. And the reason code often is 210, where there is an EVV system shutdown, but it will record your visit after you regain connection. And oftentimes, upon hire, it is important to provide your supervisor with that offline PIN so they have it on record. Please be informed that AMV no longer uses paper timesheet submissions. We no longer use paper timesheet submissions to be in compliance with this Federal Cures Act that requires an electronic visit verification capture. And for any schedule changes, it is important that you communicate with the schedule email, so which is schedule at a-vhomecareservices.com. You communicate non-related emergencies as soon as possible. Whether you have something going on, whether it's an emergency or not, it is important that you communicate this via email if you need a schedule change. But of course, for emergency related matters, it is important that you communicate directly with the office, specifically your supervisor, to communicate any matters that may require you to having to reach out to the client to change your schedule. That should be communicated with your direct staff supervisor. For our DSPs, our direct support persons that work with individuals in the DD department, we require goals submissions. So you have to submit your goals tracker to your supervisor or team lead at the start of each new month for the previous month. These are the two options available for the ADP registration. You will often get a registration link sent to your personal email. that gives you the link so that you can go in and begin your registration process. Again, payroll is run every 2 weeks, so 26 times a year, and it's your responsibility as a direct staff person to update any personal information, whether that be your direct deposit information, address, or phone number changes. For the any demographic information changes, it is important that you also relay this information to the office. And you can access your W-2s directly from the ADP portal. Training. Compliance and training is required to stay compliant with A&V Home Care Services and with the state of Illinois. There will be 12 to 14 credit hours of trainings that is required yearly. To be in compliance, you have to have training every year. But upon hire, you will have to fulfill a pre-service training that is required of all caregivers. So there will be a set of trainings that you will complete with onboarding and some with your direct staff supervisor, but it is primarily completed with the onboarding team where you will be reviewing certain guidelines and trainings. This training session, this virtual training also is part of the training that you are required to complete to fulfill the pre-service training requirement. But after completion of the pre-service training and you are working as a caregiver through AMV, these listed trainings are often the ones that need to be completed yearly. So OIG, abuse and neglect, that's ongoing. Sexual harassment, that is yearly. Duties as a home care worker, what is expected of you? Client, code of client conduct in the client home. These are trainings that need to be reviewed on an annual basis. Training such as EVV, what needs to be done and expected of you as a caregiver, is reviewed annually. Financial exploitation and other such trainings are required on an annual basis. Failure to comply with training requirements may put you at risk of non-compliance, and it may lead up to termination. So oftentimes trainings may take the form of virtual trainings that is led by supervisors once every quarter. And so you will need to allow between 2 and 4 hours of training every quarter. That is expected of you as a caregiver through AMV Home Care to fulfill the state required training mandate. We are glad that you are going to join our team here at AMV. We look forward to building a long-lasting working relationship to provide the essential services that our clients need. Welcome, and thanks for joining us.